Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Shots from the Bench. It's only sports talk, and of course, all opinions are both fabulous and flawed. I'm Bob Wiltman. My co-host, as always, is Bob Murphy, and our producer, Greg Malinzuk's in the back, making sure the cameras work, making sure the microphones don't go down on us, and basically taking care of a lot of the chaos. We are here at Gators Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Villages. Gators Dockside, they have the tastiest sports in town. We're here every Tuesday night from 6 to 7, so we invite you to come on in, down, around, wherever you can get here and come join us live. If you can't join us live, you can certainly get us on the web at shotsfromthebench.com. And of course, we are the only sports talk show in the Villages. And partner, wherever you want to start's fine with me. We got baseball, we got golf, we got, I'll tell you what.
I tell you, we got lots of things going on.
Why don't we jump in first to the big, well, go ahead.
Just going to say, all the stuff that's going on right now, this week, we've got the PGA. We've got the Major League Baseball trading deadline. We got the opening tomorrow of most of the NFL training camps.
And everybody's been waiting for that, right? You admit it.
We got the Olympics starting next week, on which we're going to talk about some problems they're having there too. So
that's what I said. There's a ton of topics.
I mean, we had the Hall of Fame just the other day.
You're right there too. I'll tell you what. Why don't we take the elephant in the room right now is the Cubs, who were doing a fairly good job of destroying the National League Central.
Right.
Taking the bull by the horns and trading for Aroldis Chapman with a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. Got him off the Yankees for 4. I'm hoping they're really great prospects. But what this does, it puts the Cubs in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. As if they weren't already, right?
Well, they were in the driver's seat, but they were leaking a little oil because some of their starter pitchers, Lackey, Arrieta, weren't as dominant as they had been, but they certainly still were dominant. But they go in the last 2 innings with a lead. Right. I don't see how they're going to blow a game with this guy.
Well, he's a big left-hander, power pitcher, going to be pretty much used as their setup man.
No question.
And wow, I mean, if you didn't think they had a good chance to win now, I mean, all of our teams are trying to catch them.
Well, you know what? The fact of the matter is, the only quote-unquote weakness, if they had a weakness, was they had a fair to middling relief corps. Well, that's all changed. Yeah. Now they got an exceptional relief corps.
They got the lineup, they got the starting pitching.
They got everything.
And now they got the bullpen.
Other than that, they're not doing as well as we think they should be. But that, I have to tip my hat to them. But, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of needs. What are some thoughts on any of the other teams that need some trades? What are you looking at?
Well, the Nationals need bullpen help.
No question. No question.
The Mets, I would have said that. I would have said that maybe a few weeks ago that needed bullpen help. But since the All-Star break, Robles, Addison Reed.
They're shoring it up pretty good. Reed's had a pretty good year.
Really, really good year. And Robles has really turned it on in the last, since the All-Star break, a few weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. So,
I think what the Mets got to do,
of course.
Don't you think they're going to have to? They got to get a stick in that lineup somehow.
The rumors I'm hearing for the Mets are.
What do you hear?
Jonathan McCroy,
McCroy from Milwaukee.
Catcher.
That's a good bat.
Catcher.
He's almost a 300 hitter.
He is a 301 hitter.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Considered the second best catcher in baseball to Buster Posey.
Not a bad pickup.
13 home runs. But the thing what he has, besides he can hit, he'd be the leading hitter on the Mets as far as average. But he can throw some runners out. He can really solidify.
He's a
only 30 years old.
Very good catcher. He's a very good catcher.
And that's what they don't have. The talk now is that they would trade Travis d'Arnaud, a promising young catcher that they have.
All right.
And maybe some younger player for him.
Well, if they can make that deal, if they're only losing d'Arnaud and maybe a prospect, that's probably. I mean, they're in it for the right now. They don't want to. They're not trying to stockpile for the future. The Mets have a chance to maybe get back into the World Series again. I think they're going to take every chance they can to try and make themselves strong enough to get there.
Some teams are looking for power. You know, Todd Frazier is available.
He's got to be open with his 210 batting
210 batting
yeah.
average is kind of scary a little bit there.
Yeah,
But he's
Dave
kind of like
Kingman.
the, what's his name for the Miami there?
Giancarlo Stanton.
Stanton doesn't have a big average, but if he gets a hold of it, it's gone.
Well, Stanton's still young with
right.
But he does have a tendency to get in some really bad slumps. But
right.
Yeah, what the heck?
So there's going to be some more movement. The trading deadline is, I believe, Sunday or Monday. Monday or Sunday.
Now, who do you think are the sellers versus the buyers? Obviously, the Cubs are buyers.
Well, the buyers are going to be the Mets, I think, the Nationals,
Yeah.
the Cubs already have done that.
What do you think about the Cardinals and Pirates?
Cardinals and Pirates could very well
worth
be.
their while to try to grab somebody? I don't know if anybody's good enough to make an impact.
Well, they're all in that wild card hunt, and that's the
right.
thing that makes it interesting for them.
That's right.
You know, maybe the Giants might try to solidify. I don't know, maybe a hitter. Who knows?
That's not a bad idea. You know, the Giants right now.
They have to keep up with the Cubs now.
Yeah, and the Dodgers now that
Dodgers
they've lost
are another one. Absolutely.
Kershaw.
Miami.
They got to get a pitcher. Miami's right in the hunt now too, but they need a batter too. If Stanton's cold,
what
they got
Miami?
nothing in the lineup.
Sure. What Miami really needs right now is another good starter. You know, they got Fernandez, of course, but they need another frontline starter.
I agree with you.
On that team. Whether they can get one or not, we'll see. But that's what this is all about, folks. It's all about the excitement of leading up to the trading deadline. And you remember, like we talked about last year, the Mets were a mediocre team up till the trading deadline, picking up Cespedes, Kelly Johnson, Uribe, Tyler Clippard.
Well, last year proves it can be done. You're right.
And then, of course, Kansas City, the same thing.
Yeah.
So they picked up Curto.
Let's talk about Kansas City because they are really, really spinning their wheels. They're not even a 500 team now. And
do they become
that's what I'm saying.
buyers?
I'm trying to see what they want to do. They put all their eggs in the basket with Edison Volquez, and he's a 500 pitcher at best for them. I'm not sure where they ought to go. I guess they've got the talent in the lineup still that they should be trying to be buyers, but they got to turn the corner pretty fast. 48 and 50 is not going to get it done for them. Yeah.
There's some talk about the Yankees potentially maybe becoming aggressive. I mean, they've already traded a guy for prospects.
They gave Chapman for prospects, but maybe that's okay with them.
It seems like they're almost rolling the white, putting out their white flag.
Well, they got Miller. I mean, they got Miller and what's the guy's name, Bibsansis, I mean, but that they have two really good relief. I mean, having three, they had a luxury they could afford to go shopping with Chapman. Mm-hmm. So I think Miller will probably fill the bill just fine. Or Betances. So
it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, I was just curious because I'm trying to get a feel for what teams are pretenders and which ones aren't, and I'm still.
Of course, the Astros are another team.
They are. They're just fired up now. They're
getting close. Maybe they make a move.
I'll tell you what. They've got to be encouraged because even with the walk-off last night, the Rangers have been leaking oil desperately, and they're 3.5 back now is what I got. Houston, so Houston's just going to go full steam. I'm sure they're going to be buyers, and they're going to get whatever they can to try and.
And then you got the pack in the American League East. Toronto, the Red Sox, and who's the Royals? Thank you.
Red Sox got Pomerantz, who's not a bad lefty.
Right.
They got him from San Diego for a song, but I still think the Orioles got to get one more bat in there or one more pitcher.
One player could separate those three teams.
There's no question.
Make the difference right there.
There's no question.
It's the right player.
No question. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires there. But I was thinking more about the pitching situation and the injuries to some of these players, and I don't know how many great pitchers are out there. Have you heard anything floated about competent starting pitchers that are available? Because frankly, I haven't heard much. I just haven't, I guess nobody wants to part with their quote-unquote aces, but
I know the Mets, that they're not going to be giving up any of theirs. They're hoping for Wheeler to come back maybe late August now. It keeps getting pushed back, and they've got this guy Verrett who has a 4.95 ERA. and they're saying they're going to trade for this other guy who has a 4.25 ERA. Well, that's not that much better.
The answer to them, I think, and he had a really excellent outing last time, was that, I want to pronounce his name right, Matz? Or Matz?
Stephen Matz.
He went 6. I mean, that guy looks like he's as dominant a lefty as you're going to see sometimes, and I'll tell you what, they really need him to step to the fore, because with Syndergaard and Cologne and DeGrom, that's 4 pretty good guys going.
If that team could get to the playoffs, and whichever way they can get there, whether it's a wild card or whatever, they can put together a 3-man rotation of Syndergaard, DeGrom, and Matz with Cologne as your backup.
Yeah.
You're going to be and the way their bullpen's playing, but they got to get there first.
Well, they got to get there
because
first.
There's a lot of competition.
They got to score runs. They got to get some runs. So I pull for him, but Walker's been in a slump. Cespedes hasn't been tearing the cover off the ball.
Just when you think that team is going to start to make some headway, something else happens.
Well, like I said, they need Conforti to get it turned around and get turned around fast.
Sure.
And so far that hasn't been the case. But that is baseball. But like I said, I'll tell you what, just to wrap it up real quick in this first section, give me the teams that you got a good. Let's talk series real fast. Who do you like in the National League?
Well,
I know you don't have the trades yet, but
no, we don't have the trades yet, and a lot could happen. But as of right now, you got to say the Cubs.
I say the Cubs too.
The Cubs are going to wind up playing the Giants and for the National League pennant.
It kind of looks that way.
The way it looks.
Looks like the Cubs are going to win that too. But here's the interesting thing now. Who do you think's going to come to the fore in the American League? It's a real log jam. Nobody's standing out.
That's more difficult.
Yeah.
That's a lot more difficult.
If I had to pick a team that I think looks like they're poised to move, it's Toronto. Yeah. But I don't know that for a fact. Boston's one more pitcher away. They got great hitters. But
if Boston were to pick up that a quality starter,
one more starter,
that could be the best team in the American League.
They got 7, 8, 300 hitters. So.
That's right.
Well, I'll tell you what. And there goes the first round here at Shots from the Bench. Bob Murphy and I'll be back for the second, we'll call it the second segment of Shots from the Bench, and we will have a lot more to talk about golf, the Olympics, you name it, right after this. We're back with the second quarter of Shots from the Bench here at Gators Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Villages. Gators Dockside, they have the tastiest sports in town. And partner, before we, I just wanted to drop off a couple things. I like to read the paper sometimes and see what they've got that's interesting. A big trade, by the way.
Oh, a big trade.
The American Association.
The American Association.
The Texas Air Hogs. The Texas Air Hogs traded Roman Madrid, who should be in the Hall of Fame with that name alone. If that's not the best sports name I haven't heard. Anyway, Roman Madrid, you won't hear much about him because he got traded to Fargo Moorhead for a player to be named later. So you're going to have to travel up to South Dakota or North Dakota to get a load of Roman Madrid.
We'll have to send a team of reporters up there to cover that one.
And also something that I'm sure you're aware of that I thought was pretty interesting because I was reading about it in the baseball transactions. Chris Sale, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He got, they had all the other guys who were suspended because of drug problems and failing tests. He was suspended 5 games for destroying uniforms, which I thought was kind of interesting. You hate to see a guy.
He doesn't like those uniforms.
He didn't like those uniforms at all.
He said it affected the way he pitched.
It affected the way he pitched. I'll tell you what, and I think somebody said this on the radio, and I do think this is funny. If you only play 35 games a year like him and you make almost $10 million, I think I'd go out with a neon sign that says "Kick me." I mean, I'd pitch in a wedding dress. I would do whatever I have to do for 35 games for $10 million. But I like that, and also something we talked about on our show. Shameless plug, but we're also on the Q out of Leesburg Saturday morning from 10 to 12. So join us 14:10 a.m. But we were talking about a big news item that Kendra Harrison. Now she is a hurdler, and she set a world record for the 100-meter hurdles and this is a record that had gone for 28 years without being broken. So she broke it, and you'd say, well, let's get fired up. We have a good chance. Let's see how she does in the Olympics. Well, she didn't make the team. She ran, 5 other people beat her in the heats when she was trying to make the Olympic hurdling team, and she will not be in the Olympics, even though after those heats she set a world record that had lasted for 28 years. So that being the case, that's I don't know what the coach can do about that. Maybe a wild card or give her.
Well, that's what they have trials for.
I guess that's right.
You got to show some consistency. You might, just like in golf, one day you shoot a 63 or a 64. The next day you shoot a 80. And another 80. You got to be consistent.
I do that all the time. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So do I. I don't get the 80s much though. But anyway, in that situation with her, that was great that she got the world record, but that doesn't automatically make you got to make sure, if you're going to get the world record, you got to be close to that at least, in your trials.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Plus, and that brings up another point. I always wonder how if you're doing all these different races, how they can accurately time them or track them. I guess they can. But for all of a sudden her to cut a second off her time or something, I think seems a little bit bizarre when she was probably,
It is weird that she can't get. I mean, I'm sure she wouldn't have to keep doing the world record every time she's doing it.
No, but
I mean, at least be halfway close to beat the rest of the pack.
You think you'd show something,
So something wasn't right there. Whether she wasn't feeling well or wasn't. She might have had an injury going into the trials. Who knows?
You're making a real good point. And I'll tell you what. And speaking of Olympics,
let's talk about the Olympics.
What are your thoughts on the Olympics? Because they're creeping up here real quick. And I admittedly, because I get down when I see lack of humility from athletes. But you know what? That's not fair because I haven't even heard any of the people. But I'm still a little down in the dumps from some of the other athletes that have won gold in the past. So I'm not into it, but I will be. All I have to see is one good competition, and I'll be back. But what do you got?
The Olympics are from August 5th to the 21st. Okay. And the big story from the Olympics, besides leading up to the Zika virus, of course, that was the big story. But now that story is the terrible facilities that they're not finished. The Australian team, when they, because a lot of these teams come in early to get used to the setting, get used to the facilities, to practice, to whatever, and then when the Australian team didn't even want to be part, because they're finding clogged bathrooms, water and raw sewage in the water,
you think it'd be first class.
Water.
You think it's a little first class.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Not enough money down there, I guess, but that's horrible. That's horrible news.
I mean, like 29 of the 31 buildings for the athletes. Or there's more than that, I think. But 29%, I think it was, were not even completely finished.
Well, there's
live wires hanging around.
There's got to be accountability.
Crazy stuff going on.
What do you hear in terms of accountability?
I mean, this is bad.
It's horrible.
Not only is it bad facilities, but now there's 10,000 plus athletes here in these things. Where are they going to stay, and are they going to be safe with security?
Oh boy!
How are they going to have the right security if they're staying in hotels or some alternative place?
Big question.
They can provide security there at the Village. What kind of security are they going to have?
Well, that's a great question. You know what? And you've got some of our greatest NBA athletes, our NBA team. It's a little watered down, but we still have an awful lot of talent down there. Just like with
you still got Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan and
that's pretty good.
Paul George.
That's going to be a tough team to beat.
Carmelo Anthony, Cousins.
Amazing.
They're fine.
You're fine. They are fine, and so
they're crushing teams right now.
And the golfers, as you say that, they're killing Argentina 24-11. And Argentina, I think, was supposed to be half decent. So.
I mean they're playing right now?
Well, yeah, just
I see.
on the
That's
big
what
screen.
I see. Yeah.
But And the golfers, you still got, even though a lot of the big ones,
Right.
you still got Bubba Watson going down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on now, but there's some Ricky Fowler. So I
Fowler.
mean, you think they're going to be fairly well stocked? I think they're going to be okay for that.
Sure.
But that's a crime and a travesty
Yep.
to you have all that time to prepare to host these events, and you're telling me that it's just
We've been
not.
talking about this for a year.
Yeah.
You know, that the problems with the water and the pollution. You know, these you got swimming teams or triathletes that have to do.
They're going to get sick.
They got to swim. They
Oh,
got to
my God.
run. They're going to go nastiness. You know, so that's a major problem. And so and that really reflects bad on Brazil not getting these games ready.
Holy mackerel, it does. And I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, I thought Rio was fairly well funded, and but this is just a black eye for the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. First
So
of
we'll
all,
see.
what Samaranch last time was found to be absconding money,
Right.
I think, good grief, this is just a shame. I can't believe it.
Well, you know, when we were talking on the radio show, what's your favorite events down there? You know,
Yeah.
of course, all the traditional events, your track and field, your gymnastics,
Those are
swimming,
fun to watch.
Swimming, those are the traditional ones.
Right.
You know, and there's so many. You know, the decathlon.
Sure.
You know, so forth and so on. But it seems like a lot of interest now, and we're watching the NBA.
Yeah.
The tennis, the tennis has become very big there now. They even include that as part of a Golden Slam on the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
You know, every few years when the Olympics are. So, you know, and it seems like most athletes now are professional in some ways or form. It's not the young college kid going from Kentucky to go play.
You're
against the
right,
Russians.
but it could be.
It could be.
It could
but
be.
It's just
You could have college players
could. Well, you know, the
playing
problem
for
is-
the gold medal. You could
Well,
have,
you know, you
you
can't.
could have college. Why not?
Here's why you can't.
Why?
Because they're playing against professionals.
So what?
All the Europeans are now professionals.
Okay.
You know, it's all professional now.
All right.
It's been that way, you know, for like 30 years.
But that-
and it's
I
getting
don't
worse.
think- I don't think the-
I agree with you. I wouldn't
I don't
mind
think the
seeing it.
United States has
Sure.
to fall into the pit. I think they
Yeah.
should say, okay, well, we're
I
going to
mean, the days of the
make a statement.
like the miracle hockey team beating the Russians.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad,
Wouldn't it be great if the young amateurs beat all the other professional teams now?
Well, I hear what you're
you
saying.
know, but
I-
whether or not that's going to ever happen again, I don't know.
Well, the
We've set a
point-
precedent now with
You-
these professionals going to play.
well, you're right, exactly. But by the same token,
Yeah.
we could also set the precedent by saying, guess what? Next time,
Yeah,
all amateurs. All amateurs.
sure.
College basketball champions. We don't need to see collegiate golfer. I mean, get somebody, get the guy that won the collegiate championship. Get those guys to play. But this is silly. To go, I mean, it's because you can watch international competitions with these athletes every week on TV on a weekend.
Right.
They're playing in Britain. They're playing here. They're playing a Ryder Cup, which I like. But I mean, it's not going to be too cool if all the same golfers in the Olympics come back and play
Right,
each other in the Ryder Cup. Just my rant
sure.
on that. But
We're
you're making
talking
a
about
good
money and
Yeah.
sports. Maybe in the next segment, I want to get into a little bit of, because of the NBA free agency and the salaries they got.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about how unfair that is to other leagues. Do we have time to talk about that now?
No, we'll get
1 minute? Okay,
no, I
real
think that-
quick.
no, I mean, but let's save and talk about that because I
Right.
think that's there's all sorts of roots to these problems, and like I said, I want to talk about that, but I want to get back to the Olympics for a
Yeah.
second
Oh,
because
okay.
the ideal behind the Olympics has changed,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing that made it change was money.
Oh, absolutely.
And you've got to trust that people would rather watch, and maybe you don't. I don't know if I do or not. I don't trust that people would rather watch amateur basketball players from the United States try to win a gold medal than Will Chamberlain or Bill Russell. I'm going back to when I was a kid, but I mean the fact is, even the players now. But like I said, that's a rant for another time. But that's my take on it. I'll tell you what, we have managed to burn the first half here. Shots from the bench. We see producer Greg back there, jiggling change in his pocket. He's getting a little antsy. But we'll come back with the third quarter, and we'll have a lot more to talk about, Bob Murphy and I, right after this. We are back with the third quarter of Shots from the Bench here at beautiful Gators Dockside in the Brownwood section of the Villages. Gators Dockside, they have the tastiest sports in town. And Bob, we were talking off camera, and you had alluded to at the end of the last quarter about a little bit of the inequity of the salary structure.
Well, this week we've got, like tomorrow, we have the NFL training camp starting.
Right.
It's always, everybody's excited. It's every team 0-0 starting their training camps, and
no question.
Trying to get their teams ready for the season. Of course, real quick before we get into that, our thoughts go with the Denny Green family.
Oh, yes.
The passing of Dennis Green.
That's very, very sad.
Former
He was
Viking and Cardinal coach.
very successful. Very successful. Northwestern.
Absolutely.
Northwestern University coach before that.
Yeah.
And that was at the age of 67. That's way too young. Way too young. Way too young.
He was a player's coach for sure.
Yeah.
Even though he was a player's coach, he commanded their respect.
Yes.
You never cross that line with him. You could be a player's coach, but you can also have respect for the guy as well.
I like Dennis Green.
I mean, look at the people. He had several people like Tony Dungy. That was one of his proteges.
Yeah.
And there's others. There's several others actually.
Well, no, but that's I mean. You make a good point. So
led the Vikings 1998 to a 15-1 record, one of the best. That was the highest. I believe that was the highest scoring, the most points scored in a season in NFL history.
Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that's true. For the Vikings in 15-1 that year.
I remember that team.
They Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham.
They could ring it up.
Randy Moss.
I remember that.
That was
Randy Moss.
Robert
and Chris
Smith was
Carter.
a running back.
No, they were good.
That was probably the best Viking team of all time.
Well,
that didn't win it, by the way.
Well, that's too bad.
One field goal away.
That's all it takes. But
anyway, so Denny Green passing, had to mention that.
Very sad.
Training camp coming up. But I wanted to mention, okay, so what does the NFL, the NBA, okay, they just had their free agent period.
Okay,
earlier this month.
Right, gotcha.
This year, because of their salary cap being different and raised or whatever, the salaries were unbelievable. You had second and third tier players getting contracts for $15 million.
Mid-teens, yeah.
$18 million a
These
year.
Are guys, $18 million, and you're only playing. You're like eighth man,
right?
And you're making $18 million. That's pretty good.
And I'm looking at the highest paid player in the NFL. I think he makes $25 million a year. Defense. I think it's J.J. Watt. I think it's who it is.
He probably is. I think
that's
you're right.
who it is.
He's probably the
But
highest
I mean, he's
paid.
making like $25 million a year, $28 million a year, whatever it is. And some of the superstars in the NBA, they're making like $30 million a year. It's crazy how much. The disparity. I know. Okay, we're only playing 16 games versus 82 games plus the playoffs for each. But still,
well, like
the NFL is the richest league of all the leagues. They are by far the richest league of all the leagues.
No question about that.
They have the most viewership. They have the most promotions, the most sponsors. They have it all. And the thing that really bothers the NFL players is they don't have a lot of guaranteed contracts. The NBA players are getting 5 years guaranteed, 4 years guaranteed.
Yeah,
no matter what happens, they get that money.
Tough to guarantee in football because you could really, you're one hit away from having your career over.
But still, there has to be some.
Well, I know what you're saying.
Personally, we talked about. I don't feel sorry for any of them really. They make a lot of money.
No holes in their shoes.
If you were an NFL player, and you saw the money, or even a Major League Baseball player for that matter. I mean, the starting pitchers for the Mets I don't even think they make $1 million a year. They haven't reached their
The young guys.
the young guys.
They haven't. It hasn't kicked in. It will kick in.
I mean, they're out there pitching their hearts out, and they're some of the best pitchers in baseball.
But they know
don't
what
even make
they're
$1 million a year.
They know where they're heading now. I mean,
hopefully.
Now all of a sudden it'll be tenfold.
Right.
You know.
But I'm saying even when they reach that point, they're probably not going to make that kind of money that the NBA players. So there's a little bit of a disparity between actually there's a lot of disparity between the NBA salaries and the rest of the league. That's all. And I've been hearing that talked about a lot on a lot of the national shows. Someone would bring it up. Okay, we got NFL training camps this week.
Okay.
We've got, who's your favorite team?
The Steelers.
Steelers, oh my God.
The Steelers. What, are you kidding me?
They're going to be.
And they're off to a great start because their star running back didn't. So he's got first 4 games. He's out for the year with drugs, and they had a receiver who's out for the whole year because the failing drug test or something. So they're just off to a great start. I'm not being cynical, but the Rooneys, I'm sure, can't be happy about how things are turning around for the Steelers. But leaving the Steelers where they are, let's talk about, tell you what,
Well, the exhibition season, of course, will be starting in another week or so.
No question.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
In about a week.
Absolutely crazy.
And, like August 1st or whatever it is, this coming Sunday or Monday, whatever it is, I don't know, my Monday night game. But do you think the number of exhibition games should be cut?
I think it should be. It won't be because of the money.
I think they have 5 now, don't they?
Well, what they do, yeah, but now when they sell you season ticket package to all the home games, you got to buy. There's always 2 exhibition games at home that you got to pay, $80, $90 a ticket. So they're going to ding you.
So you're going to go. And some people buy those single tickets for those last 1 or 2 exhibition games.
Yeah.
And you're going to have no starters play those last couple of games, game or 2, and watch that. I think that's just so ridiculous. And plus, like you said, injuries. These players are ready after training camp and after, say, 2 to 3 exhibition games. They're ready to go. Maybe you can use the 4th one. I think they should eliminate at least one of them.
Well, it'd be a good idea. So one of these days, if somebody gets hurt, they're going to do that. But football is so popular now that people don't mind buying the exhibition because they've got friends. They'll be happy just to go to an exhibition game because they can't get tickets to a regular season game. They just want to.
Oh, sure.
So they just want to go to a game. So
if you're gonna go,
it's an event.
You want to see the stars of the team,
That's
at least for a quarter,
or at least on the sideline if you have to. But
on the sideline, you zoom in on them with your
That's
binoculars.
exactly right. Get the binoculars out.
So, okay, real quick, we gotta get this off there. Tom Brady is going to serve his suspension.
Tom Brady.
Deflategate is over with. He is going to serve it. He's going to.
He was
give
able
in.
To,
no more fight.
We were talking about, is it Garoppolo? Is
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo had a heck of a pedigree when they got him, and we're going to find out real fast if he can do the job because he's going to be your quarterback for the first 4 games, and we'll see how he does.
Right.
But tell you what, I still think they're a pretty loaded team. I still think the Patriots are very good.
And Garoppolo's a fairly good young quarterback. I think he's going to be just doing fine. I mean, they're going to go up against some good defenses in the Jets and Miami and Buffalo.
You bring that up. That division is sneaky good this year. I think Buffalo, I think, has really turned the corner. The Jets are slowly improving themselves defensively, to be sure. Offensively, they're it's still a little bit up in the air. But if they get everybody cooking all cylinders, that's going to be just the toughest division in football.
Jets training camp starts tomorrow. They still do not have Ryan Fitzpatrick signed. They're saying that Geno Smith is going to be the guy. He's nowhere near as good as Ryan Fitzpatrick. Nowhere near. Now, I understand. I'm not listening to the producer. I'm not listening to the producer. I'm not listening to the producer because he's a Jets fan. But I think that you can at least give Ryan Fitzpatrick, give him a 2-year deal. You don't have to give him a 5-year deal. See if he'll bite on that. I mean, it's starting tomorrow, so no one else is giving him a deal, and they're not. He's their best chance to win this year and maybe the next year. There's no one else out there they're going to get that's going to make it. Give him some money. Give him some good money for at least 2 years.
I agree with you. You know what? These things, this is the way these things tend to play
Yeah.
themselves out. The Jets aren't going to blink. Fitzpatrick's not going to blink.
Right.
And it'll get to the opening day. Smith will stink, and they'll go get Fitzpatrick. Or Smith will have a good game, and all of a sudden Fitzpatrick will come in with his head in his hand
That's
saying,
right.
"Oh, I've decided the
I would
team's
like to see
more
that
important."
happen,
So somebody's going to blink, and somebody's going to take the pipe on it. It's always fun to watch.
Well, Geno Smith there are times he looks phenomenal.
Well, that's
He
important.
could
You
look as
just
good
said
as
the right
anybody.
thing. There are times, and
But
that's
then,
the problem.
then he throws
That's
that
right.
pass.
That's right.
And then he puts his head between his legs.
he's
and walks off the field.
he's a talent. He's just not a consistent talent,
Right.
and that's what you need.
But he's got an arm and he can throw.
But no, it's interesting. You named the Bills and the Jets because and even the Dolphins.
They're-
The Dolphins. That's four pretty doggone good teams.
Well, those are
They're
good
gonna be
defenses
slugging it
now,
out.
too.
Very good defenses.
Yeah.
Very good defenses.
Right.
So they're going to be slugging it out ad nauseum. I mean, that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I
heard a lot of people talking about the with Garoppolo. How many games are all they got to do is win. If they go 2-2, they'd be fine.
they go two.
No.
How many?
If they
how
go
many,
2-2.
I don't know their first four. Are they at home?
I
was
haven't
gonna
got the
say,
schedule.
If
but
they win the home games and lose the away games, they're fine. So
Yeah.
2-2 is probably what they're going to be after four, and that's what that'll be just fine with them.
Sure. So it's exciting time of the year for the NFL starting, with the training camps and so forth and so on. And so,
Well,
and
it
then
really is.
Our exhibition games, we're all hungry for those, and that's only a week away. Well, Hall of Fame game, right? They
The
still
Hall
have
of
that?
Fame's coming up. I'll tell you what. We've been in this heat wave down here in Florida, Central Florida. It's been 95 to 97, like 10 days in a row. I cannot believe we're talking football, but it's time. It's time, and in
How much
2
time-
weeks.
how much
it's
time do
gonna
we
be-
have,
Oh,
Mr.
no, we're
Producer?
fine. I'm just saying.
Okay. Speaking of Hall of Fame, I just want to quickly, we were talking baseball.
Yeah.
Hats off to Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza.
Tell you what, we're going to
we
go
talking
right
about that?
after. We're going to go right.
Okay.
That's a great idea because I have not given props to those guys. So let's talk a little bit about the Baseball Hall of Fame, and we'll do that when we come back with the fourth quarter shots from the bench right after this. That's right. Then we have the Hall of Fame to talk
And I'm trying to figure out who's going in for the NFL this year. I think
about. Kevin Green.
and then this week's.
We're back with the fourth and final quarter of shots from the bench here at Gators Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Villages. Gators Dockside, they have the tastiest sports in town. And partner, you touched on with a lot of the Hall of Fame selections already have been made, and in baseball, the two big ones, the two big names that come to mind are Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Piazza. And we just heard Greg tell us I think this is interesting, that Ken Griffey Jr. is the first number one pick in the draft to ever make it to the Hall of Fame. And Mike Piazza was the 1,396th pick in the 62nd round of the 1988 draft. And he is the highest ever going. So you got the highest
That's right.
and the lowest making it in at the same time. And just a couple comments on both of their careers, if you would like to touch on
Griffey Jr., of course, started his career with the Mariners, had many great seasons with them.
Absolutely.
Tremendous power, tremendous home run hitter, and for average, and a defensive a center fielder.
it. Second to nobody.
Second to none.
Outstanding.
And had a great, played the game with a fun.
He was always laughing, always
happy,
having fun.
Always
having
just
fun.
enjoy. You always wear that cap backwards
Yeah,
and just have
yeah.
fun. He was always a kid, just enjoying the game, and it came through. And he was always so well liked. And then he moved. Of course, he went to the Reds after that, and had a good career with the Reds as well.
That's right. That's
so, just a great.
And he got-
his father. He came from a good pedigree. His
Oh, he got a
father
great
played with
pedigree.
the Big Red Machine.
Remember, he
Ken Griffey.
got injured a few times because he used to play defensively so hard. He ran into a wall or two, and he
absolutely.
had some injuries because his numbers are still like top 5 in the history of baseball,
Right.
and they might have crept a little bit higher if he had stayed healthy.
Right.
He didn't hang around till he was 44
No.
to see how much money he got out of the game when he had his health. He's 40, and good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike Piazza started his career with the Dodgers
Yep.
as a young guy with Tommy Lasorda. Tommy, he was friends with the Dodgers as a young boy. They brought him in as a bat boy
he
or
a bat
whatever.
boy?
And
Yeah.
he was around all the players, and they saw something in him. And even though he was he was given a chance by the Dodgers organization. They saw something in him, and they were rewarded for that. Of course, he was traded. After that, he actually played for the Dodgers, and then he played 1 day for the Marlins. Did you know that?
No,
He played 1 day for the Marlins.
1 day?
Yes.
Well, then
one day.
They traded him after 1 day?
Yes, he went to the Marlins for 1 day, and then after that day, he went to the Mets.
I had no idea.
Yep.
No,
he went to the Mets for 8 years
That's
after that.
news you can use. Boy, I
So
never. I
in his
never
Hall
would
of
have
Fame
guessed that.
speech, he was giving credos to Tommy Lasorda. Jack McKeon was the
Sure.
Marlins
GM.
and then of course to the Mets, Davey Johnson.
Sure.
What he meant to him, and then he played 1 season with the Padres.
Right. That's
Which was like just
a wrap-up, yeah.
wrap-up season with the Padres. But he also mentioned them, and both these players, both during their induction into the Hall of Fame, were mentioning how much their families meant to them, how especially Mike was talking about how faith was such an important part of his life and still is, and his family, and these guys are quality individuals. They always kept their lives above board.
That's
never
why
got in trouble.
You make such a good point because as everybody knows, I'm not any athletes I call them chest beaters or chest thumpers, really turn me off. These guys were solid citizens. They were they're elite baseball players at their position,
Right.
and you didn't see them do anything bad in the news or hanging out and doing things they shouldn't do, or beating their chests and talking about how great they are. They just went out and they played and they won wherever they played.
Piazza was saying during his Hall of Fame speech, he was pitching for the Dodgers. I think it was Oral Hershiser.
Not bad.
Was pitching, and he let a guy. Piazza wasn't the greatest throwing catcher in baseball history, but he was such the best hitting catcher of all time. And he wasn't that bad a thrower, but he wasn't the best.
He wasn't a top notch, but he was okay. Yeah.
Oral Hershiser, he was upset with himself, and they're coming off the field after an inning, and he said, "I'm so sorry, I let that guy get it, steal second." And he goes, "Don't worry about it, Mike. Just hit me a 3-run homer."
And I'll bet he did.
About it. And he probably did. But that's the way he was. And then when he went to the Mets, I remember it just changed that team.
A good catcher makes all the difference in the world. All the difference.
So two great representatives in the Hall of Fame, and both of them were crying during their acceptance speech.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. We've got also. That's the baseball inductees.
Right.
But you've got a very, very impressive list, and we've got the Hall of Fame game in Canton coming up, where they're going to be inducting.
I believe it's this weekend.
Isn't
it this weekend? It's either this weekend or the following.
2 weekends away, but you may be right.
Yeah,
but
could be.
The fact of the matter is, listen. Now you've got the list. Listen to this. Qualified group going in, and
the headliner, of course, is Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, not bad.
All those years with the Packers, came in as a young player and just took over mid-season, 1 season for an injury, and never looked back.
Took over for Don Majkowski. I remember
Don
that,
Majkowski,
the Magic Man.
Man. That's right.
Yeah.
And what a tremendous. I mean, talk about a guy that would take chances and wouldn't be fearless.
He's a gunslinger. He was a gunslinger.
He's a gunslinger, fearless.
You gotta like Brett Favre.
I think he leads the NFL in touchdown passes, and also had a lot of interceptions. But that's because of all the chances he took.
You know what? That's going to happen.
A winner for sure.
He's a winner, and just a fantastic player.
Even that year, 2 years that he came with the Vikings shouldn't have been the last one. He shouldn't have gone back. but that first year he came back with the Vikings led him to the NFC Championship game against New Orleans.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for the fact he was beat up and targeted by which it turned out to be true, by a lot of their defensive players, they made it to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
But what a great career that he had. He's a comical guy, got a very good sense of humor. He was the headliner. Here's the rest of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we had as players Kevin Green.
A sack-happy
Defensive
linebacker.
end.
And you're right. He was the defensive end, and the Steelers threw him in as a fourth linebacker, and he was the leading sacker in the league for a couple of years, and unbelievable numbers. One of those guys that when they said I thought, yeah, he's pretty good. I didn't think he was Hall of Fame material. I read his stats. He was. I didn't realize how great his career was.
Marvin Harrison, the wide receiver.
What a great receiver.
Peyton Manning's favorite target for many years.
Never hurt, never dropped a ball. I never saw Marvin Harrison drop a ball. I'm sure he did.
I'm
sure he did, but I never saw him do it.
Of course, big old Orlando Pace, the offensive guard.
There's a guy that
Rams.
was first-round draft pick, number one guy taken in the draft, and he was a big kind of heavy guy, and you thought, I wonder if he's going to pan out. I'd say panned out all right.
He's your prototypical offensive guard.
Stud offensive lineman, no question.
Kenny the Snake Stabler.
Boy, there's one of those. That's a throwback to the old days when he wasn't real mobile, didn't have a real strong arm, just knew how to win.
Just made plays.
Just knew how to play. He had good players. He knew how to take advantage of them. And
he was a perfect quarterback for that team.
The Oakland Raiders. Perfect quarterback from here. Exactly right.
And then we had, Dick Stanfill.
Great lineman for the Lions. Now, that's back when they were good in the early 60s.
Right.
Stanfill was great. Stanfill was very, very good offensive
A couple of non-players. Tony Dungy went in as a coach.
And he played for the Steelers, but he was hardly, since he was their fifth man, the nickel man in their defense for a couple of years.
Right.
He actually quarterbacked the Steelers that one year when all their quarterbacks got hurt. He said, I'll try. Mm-hmm. Didn't do well, but you know what? He's just such a quality human being, and he had such a great pro career. And I was really glad to see him get in.
I know you know this guy, Eddie DeBartolo Jr.
I worked for Eddie DeBartolo Jr., obviously not in a football capacity, but Eddie DeBartolo, all I can remember about Eddie DeBartolo is when the strike went on in 1987, he still paid all his players, and the owners wanted to shoot him. But he made it in the Hall of Fame, so good for Eddie DeBartolo Jr. But he was paying his players when nobody else was when they were on strike.
Not too many players have a bad thing to say about Eddie DeBartolo Jr.
No, the players, he paid you no matter what. So, but yeah, he's had a rather checkered career. But football, I guess anybody who's the owner of a team that won that many Super Bowls in that short amount of time deserves his spot. So that's what a great list. Great list that is. And I'll tell you what, a couple
watch
other
them cry on the podium this next weekend or whatever it is.
It'll be great, and it's always fun to see who they pick to do the induction speech. It'll be very, very interesting to see who they want to have. Who's presenting them as members of the Hall of Fame.
I love Hall of Fame. See all the living.
Oh, that's great.
Hall of Famers.
They all come out. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see them all.
It shocked me when I watched the Major League Baseball one. You see like guys like Rod Carew come out and he's being helped.
That's right. Well,
you think of Rod Carew, you're thinking of this.
Well, yeah, but then you think all the 162 games a year for 15 years running, pounding. I'm sure it takes its toll. All of a sudden, you get in your 60s and.
Well, they're older than that now.
No, you're right.
I'm 60.
Yeah, I'm 63, and I think Carew's got a couple years on.
Rod Carew was always like 12, 13 years old rooting for those guys.
Tony Oliva, Rod Carew. How about that? And Kirby Puckett. Tell me that the Minnesota Twins didn't have three great...
Harmon Killebrew.
Ken Herbick and Harbin Killebrew. Wow. There, we've turned this into a Minnesota Twins fest. It doesn't get any better than that. Ken Herbick did make the Hall of Fame.
How can they not have won that many games? They won some.
They won a couple with Tom Kelly.
They must have needed some pitching or something there.
Well, this is exactly what I thought, because Greg's over there waving things. He's thrown the whole course of this show off, but you know what? Bob and I are going to make it through just fine. We are out of time. And we really appreciate everybody joining us. And we will be back next week. Come on down and join us, 6 to 7 next Tuesday here at Gators Dockside at Brownwood. And we will be here with another edition of Shots from the Bench. Thanks, folks. Sorry, Greg, I had to throw you under the bus.
Blame me. It's all right.
Where's the little kid? Where's the little kid to do the ending?